Moving the needle in our life means that we have to be willing to move through the stages of learning. I'm talking about moving from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. And that's what we're talking about in this series. I'm Dr. Maisha. I'm a master NLP practitioner, hypnotherapist, and trainer of NLP and hypnosis. I'm the founder of the Mind Remapping Academy and the founder of the Mind Remapping Nation. And I help people to eliminate the unconscious thoughts, feelings, and emotions that keep them from living their best life and living to their fullest potential. So now before we jump in, I invite you to hit the subscribe button right now so you do not miss any of our mind remapping vitamins. And if you're the kind of person that really likes to go deep into personal development, really deep inside of the mindset, understanding how you tick, then I invite you to join our community, the Mind Remapping Nation. And to do that, you just go to mindremappingnation.com. Now, over the last couple of videos, we have been talking about moving through the stages of learning. And in the first video, I gave you an overview of moving from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. And in the next video, I started to break it down with unconscious incompetence. That is not having the skill and not being aware that there's a deficit or a gap in learning. Then we move to conscious incompetence. That's where you know that there's a gap in learning. You know you don't have the skill, but you now are committed to improving and to developing the skill. Then you move to conscious competence. Now that's the place where you're starting to learn a new competency, a new skill, but you have to focus and concentrate on executing the action, maybe breaking it down into steps. Once you have practiced and created the structures and really gotten committed to your competency, to improving your skill level, that's when you move into unconscious competence. So when I talk about unconscious competence, think about that baby who was walking along the couches, who was taking his or her first steps, was having to concentrate on putting each foot in front of the other. Once they realized that they had a facility, they could maintain their balance, what happened next? They took off running. And now as adults, we don't really think about walking. We just get up from the chair and move our feet. That's unconscious competence. And that's really what happens when we commit to mastery, when we practice, when we break things down into workable steps. Soon, what was once difficult becomes easy for us. And then you move into a state where you don't really have to think about it as much because you're just unconsciously able to execute the action. It's funny, when I was coaching doctors and entrepreneurship and business, I realized how much of what I was doing had become in the realm of unconscious competence. And when I first started coaching, my clients would often come back to me very, very often because maybe we had created a plan and had given them some guidance on how to execute the plan, but I had given it to them in large chunks of information rather than the very, very specific details. So they'd come back to me and be like, oh, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? And what was interesting is those were things that were intuitive to me, but I forgot that they might not be intuitive to my clients. So I had to learn how to break things back into those small executable steps so that it can make it workable for them. I had to take myself back to what it was like to be in that conscious competence phase. It was the same way when I started learning NLP. There were language patterns, new language patterns that I learned that initially I had to really concentrate and focus and catch myself and practice. And now those same language patterns, those same ways of thinking, speaking, and being come very naturally to me. And now teaching solidifies that even more, as I'm always telling my students, you have to get out and practice these things daily, or else the things that you learn just end up sounding like noise. Now, you may think that once you reach the stage of unconscious competence, that's it, right? Well, actually, this is actually one of the common pitfalls of reaching this stage, is that we become comfortable and sometimes even lax about continuing our ongoing personal development. Understand that unconscious competence does not necessarily mean mastery. One of the biggest pitfalls of unconscious competence is mistaking it for mastery, ignoring the ability and letting it get laxed. The only way to mastery is to continue to be aware, even when you're unconsciously competent, is to continue to develop new levels of competence. And after all, that's what ongoing personal development is all about, right? Expansion towards mastery. And by the way, this is a journey, not a destination. It's a mountain with no top. And really, that's the excitement of it all. There's always something new to learn, to grow, to discover about ourselves and about each other and about the world, about our relationships, about our capacity. So where have you gained an unconscious competence, and where are you now going to grow and expand to mastery? Expanding the mastery is why I do this work, and specifically why I teach NLP, because it's the difference between giving a man or a woman a fish and teaching them how to fish. As I've said in many of the other videos, NLP is a methodology. It's a set of processes that really helps you to understand how the brain works, understand what makes you tick, so that you can really be at the source of your life. You can really be in the driver's seat of your mind. So if this series has made you curious, has drawn you in, if you've really taken something from it and you're wanting to go deeper into the methodology and you're wanting to gain a conscious competence and even an unconscious competence in the realm of communication, leadership, in the realm of NLP in general, then you might want to consider learning NLP. And you can do that by going to remapmymind.com. And there you can learn more about NLP, hypnosis, create your future techniques, and you can learn about how you can be a part of the upcoming trainings that are happening in the coming months. Now, of course, if you really want a little bit more one-on-one work, you want a little bit more personal transformation, you can book a complimentary wake-up call by going to remapmymind.today. So if you want to learn more about what we do at the Mind Remapping Academy, go to remapmymind.com. And if you want to book a complimentary wake-up call, go to remapmymind.today. And what I want you to be left with is the fact that the road to mastery involves stages of learning. It involves stages of change. And when you really understand the unconscious mind, when you really understand how to be in these stages and what it takes to learn and grow, then you can really start to take your life to that next level. Okay? Hope you've enjoyed the series. I look forward to seeing you on the next one, on the next video. Until then, have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. Namaste.